You've heard the word karma a million times, right? But what does it really mean? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on this ancient concept. And I promise you, it is so much more interesting than just, what goes around comes around. Let's get into it. First things first, we have to start with the biggest, most human question of all, one we've all asked ourselves. Is life actually fair? At its heart, the entire idea of karma is really an attempt to answer that one single question. Because let's be real, a lot of the time, it just doesn't feel fair at all. And this is the first big puzzle we run into. Why do good people suffer? I mean, you have people like Swami Vivekananda, who was this incredibly good person, but he faced enormous hardship and died young. How does that make any sense? It's the kind of thing that can really shake your faith in a just universe. And then, of course, you've got the flip side of that same coin. Why do people who do awful things seem to get away with it? They often live long, wealthy lives. The source material brings up the bigoted king Aurangzeb, who lived to be 90 years old. You just have to ask, how does that work? When you put it all together, life can start to feel completely and utterly random. A billionaire gets a terminal illness out of the blue, while a poor person wins the lottery. These wild swings of fortune just don't seem to follow any rules. And that feeling of total chaos is exactly what the law of karma sets out to explain. So let's talk about the science of karma. And I'm putting science in quotes there for a reason. Because in this view, karma isn't some mystical form of cosmic revenge. It's meant to be a complex, universal system of action and consequence, as precise and predictable as any law of physics. So here's the core of it. Karma is not just about what you do, your physical actions. It also includes every single thing you say and, maybe most importantly, everything you think. All of it counts. Our joys and our sorrows, according to this, are just the natural result of all those actions, physical, verbal, and mental. And this law can be incredibly, almost weirdly specific. There's this fantastic story about a king named Shveta. He was a super charitable guy, always giving away clothes, jewels, toys, you name it. He did so many good deeds that he went straight to heaven. But he had one blind spot. He was incredibly stingy with food. And here's the kicker. In heaven, he had everything he could ever want, except for food. Whenever he got hungry, he had to go back to Earth and literally eat garbage. He learned the hard way that the universe gives you back exactly what you put out there. The system is incredibly direct. Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial idea. If karma is a science, what are the variables that determine the outcome? Well, it turns out the single most important factor isn't the action itself. It's the intention, the why behind it. Think about this classic example. You have a surgeon and an assassin. Both of them take a knife and cut a person. The physical action is pretty much identical, right? But the surgeon's attitude is to help. Their goal is to heal. The assassin's goal is to harm. That one difference, the intent, completely flips the karmic value of the exact same act from good to bad. So intent is the big one. But there are other key things that shape an action's karmic weight. There's your knowledge, the how. There's your faith, or the belief you have. And then there's this really interesting one, your ability or your capacity. And there's a beautiful story that explains this one perfectly. All right, so picture this. A great king is building this magnificent temple, and everybody wants to be a part of it. The wealthiest nobles and merchants are all trying to outdo each other, donating huge piles of gold and jewels. The king himself is pouring his personal fortune into it. But living nearby is a very poor, very old woman named Ālāji. She has practically nothing, so all she can do is serve a little bit of buttermilk to the workers who are tired from the hot sun. Her only other contribution? A single ordinary stone she found in her backyard. To the king, it was less than nothing, but for Ālāji, it was a huge sacrifice. So the night before the temple's grand opening, the king has this dream, and in it, Lord Shiva appears and tells him that of all the incredible gifts, the one he values most is the shelter provided by Ālāji. Why? Because relative to her ability, her capacity to give, her tiny offering was the greatest gift of all. It's not about how much you give, it's about what that gift costs you. Okay, so this whole thing naturally leads to one of the biggest questions in all of philosophy. If our lives are shaped by all these past actions, then are we just puppets? Are we just acting out a pre-written script? Or are we actually free to make our own choices? Are we puppets or are we the players? I absolutely love this analogy. It just nails the concept perfectly. Think of it like this. Your past karma, all your past actions, have dealt you a hand of cards in the game of life. You don't get to choose those cards. But, and this is the key, you have total freedom in how you decide to play that hand. So really, you've got two forces working together. On one side, you have fate, or Prārabdha. That's the momentum from your past, the hand of cards you were dealt. But on the other side, you have effort, or Purushartha. That's your free will, right here, right now. It's not one versus the other. They're partners in creating your reality. So can your effort actually overcome a really bad hand of cards? Well, check out the incredible story of Panini. When he was a young man, he went to a palm reader who looked at his hand and told him, "Sorry, kid, you're fated to be an illiterate fool. The line of education just isn't there." And what did Panini do? He asked the palmist, "Okay, where is the line supposed to be?" Then he took out a knife and carved the line of education onto his own hand. He refused to accept his fate and instead chose to forge his own destiny. And guess what? He went on to become one of the greatest grammarians in the history of the world. He literally took matters into his own hands. So let's say we understand the rules of the game. We use our free will, our effort to play our hand as best we can. What's the end goal here? Is it just to collect as many good karma points as possible? Get the high score? Well, not exactly. And here's the final, fascinating twist. The ultimate point isn't just to rack up good deeds. According to this philosophy, even good karma acts as a golden chain. Now sure, a golden chain is a lot nicer than an iron one, but it's still a chain. It still binds you to the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The true endgame is something called moksha, which means liberation. The goal is to transcend the entire game, to break free from both the good chains and the bad ones, and to step outside the cycle altogether. The prize isn't winning the game, it's achieving a state of complete freedom and lasting peace. This quote just sums it up so perfectly. The path to true liberation isn't about choosing the good rope over the bad rope. It's about using wisdom, the sword of knowledge, to cut both ropes and float free. And that brings us right back here, to this moment. Your past has already dealt you a hand of cards. The situation you're in, your strengths, your challenges, they're all on the table right now. So the only question that really matters is, what are you going to do now? How are you going to play them?